Always on the lookout for quality Bigfoot material, I heard Hulu was streaming a new three-part documentary series called Sasquatch. Let's see what this one is all about in another Toes of Terror review.
There! There! There!
Welcome back to ML Miller Frights, a part of the Kings of Horror Network. I'm ML Miller. While you might be watching this video on the Kings of Horror Network, I urge you to click over to my ML Miller Frights YouTube page and give it a like. Please share with all of your buddies. Click subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to ring that bell for notifications. Sasquatch, episodes 1 through 3 of a three-part series, is streaming now on Hulu. It was directed by Joshua Rolfe and written by Joshua Rolfe and David Holthouse. Sasquatch follows investigative reporter David Holthouse, who has been known to go deep undercover into his subject matter, be they gangs, hate groups, or sex rings. In the opening moments, Holthouse recants a story he vaguely remembers from 26 years ago when he was working on a pot farm in Northern California. After a long day's work, Holthouse remembers seeing a frantic man enter the house they were all staying in, touting that he had seen 3 bodies torn apart by a Bigfoot. Rumors of Bigfoot around the camp had been rampant, and this only confirmed the dangers that lie out in the forests. Holthouse remembers being scared to death from overhearing the story, and memory hold it deep in the back of his mind. One might ask, why did Holthouse wait all of these years to do the digging, or why didn't he report this triple murder back then? But this series really doesn't get into all of that. Instead, it dives right into the modern investigation of the legend of Bigfoot in the area, the history of the illegal pot farming, and the rampant crime that permeated the vast and dense forests of Northern California. Sasquatch is split over 3 episodes, all clocking in at 45 minutes a pop, so it's not a major commitment to sit back and binge all 3. Produced by the Duplass brothers, who were also behind the hit Netflix series Wild Wild Country, Sasquatch knows how to pepper in just enough info to lead up to a large cliffhanger at the end of each episode. By this time, with the overwhelming amount of documentaries out there, the format Sasquatch follows is pretty standard. Lead the viewer along, leave out some key elements of the story, toss in a cliffhanger or 2 at the end of each episode, and basically come to a conclusion that sums up the series and gives out all of the information without really providing too many answers by the end. If you think a crime will be solved, or the existence of Bigfoot will be revealed in this documentary, you're going to be sadly disappointed. For all of Holthouse's investigation, answers are not really reached by the end in regards to the bodies found or murderers charged, which in itself is a little disappointing. Still, Sasquatch is a compelling story. It's not a Bigfoot story per se, as Sasquatch is only a small element to this tale. Holthouse attempts to tie things back to the belief of Sasquatch, commenting that there are monsters in these woods. They might not just be the ones you think of. When you grow that much weed and depart so far from society, things are bound to get savage. And this is quite a savage story that unfolds over these 3 episodes, involving prejudice, murder, rape, greed, betrayal, addiction, and utter fear. Through some moody animation and intense interviews with people who wish to remain anonymous and muffled phone messages, the story has some moments of sheer terror as Holthouse really does poke his nose pretty fearlessly into the business of those who could make you disappear in the woods and never be found. While Holthouse presents as a bit of a narcissist, brandishing himself a slayer of monsters, all human monsters that is, trafficking in drugs, sex, prejudice, and the fear of others, one can't argue that he does good work digging in deep with the dangerous elements. A little bit out of his life is revealed later on in the show when he reveals that he is a sexual assault survivor, and it helps humanize our narrator. Still, I found myself wondering why we're hearing so much about Holthouse's resume numerous times in the show, and wanted to get back to the Sasquatch and crime action. This is a backwoods pot farm crime story, so don't be fooled by the title. It's a great little documentary, but at the same time, being the Bigfoot fan that I am, I wanted more of the big hairy guy. The plot does twist and turn quite a bit, returning to the possibility that Bigfoot really is killing these guys, or maybe the blame can be placed on a guy who goes by the name of Bigfoot. The usual snippets of footage from the Patterson-Gimlin film and other popular photographs are used. They interview a couple of squatchers, including Bobo from Finding Bigfoot, to lighten the mood. It's also interesting to hear that Bob Gimlin, who took the famous Patterson-Gimlin footage, lives right down the road from the guy who professes that he was the man in the Bigfoot suit for the footage. There's the obligatory interview from Dr. Jeff Meldrum, one of the mainstays of all Bigfoot documentaries, and a professor of anthropology and anatomy. There was also a pretty amusing scene where two gay life partners, who are also squatchers, bicker about their own takes on Bigfoot that left me wanting more to see of this eccentric duo. Still, if you're an avid Bigfoot follower, you're not going to get anything new in this slickly produced crime doc. I give Sasquatch 3 feet for being a solid documentary series. Sasquatch is well made, but the title is misleading. It's not really a horror story, but there are some solid moments of tension and suspense involving the investigation into these heinous crimes. Potheads are most likely to get some chuckles out of this, and the scenes of weed appreciation will make them drool a bit, I'm sure. Having seen my fair share of Bigfoot docs, this one does a decent job of highlighting the vast and beautiful forests and the dangers that may lurk in them. It offers very little to advance the lore. That'll be it for today. Please chime in down below in the comments and let me know how on the nose or mind-numbingly wrong I am, or you can counter with your own review. So guys, you know how YouTube works. I'd love to be able to dedicate more time to this channel. I'm not monetized yet, so if you want to help me out, remember to hit all the pertinent bells and whistles down below. Want some spooky comics to read? I have 2 new horror comic book trade paperbacks you should look out for. Both Gravetrancers and Pirouette, collecting never-before-published issues, can be found in only the finest of comic book shops. If you're looking for written reviews, you can find them on my website, mlmillerwrites.com. If you really want to show your support, I also have a Patreon page at mlmiller. Look for the link to my Patreon page down below. Thank you so much for your time, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're doomed. You're doomed. Live the life that you are meant to be. Live inside.